All right, so for the team that have just heard about me for the first time, I grew up in Uganda and now I work in South Sudan, a nation that has really faced decades of civil war. So I'm working here through an initiative of the African Leadership Academy, and I work as a Master Teacher Program Fellow, where I provide support and professional development to the teachers of Greenbelt Academy. Greenbelt Academy is a senior secondary school run by an organization called Education Bridge. And Education Bridge has a mission to educate a generation of peacemakers and transformational leaders. So I'm also a founder of Teachers Empowerment Platform, a social enterprise focused on building a network of teachers collaborating to provide the best education for their learners across the globe. And one of the things I've fallen in love with is my country, is the beauty of my country. And I love to say that Africa is my country and Uganda is my village, which is my home country. And for that matter, as eco-tourism center, as people who are on this forum, I have learned that there is a lot of collaboration that happens, tourism, ecotourism and stuff. So I thought it very important to briefly share something about my country. So about my village, Uganda, my country, which I call my village because I look at Africa as a country. It is called the Pearl of Africa. And the reason why Uganda is called the Pearl of Africa comes from Winston Churchill in his popularized book, which he wrote down in 1908, called My African Journey. Uganda is called the Pearl of Africa because he talked about the magnificent things that he saw around, the color, the life of birds, the reptiles, insects, the beasts, the mammals and vegetation and everything. So that's why it was called the Pearl of Africa. And if you can look at the pictures I've shared, you can see how beautiful Uganda is. So please make sure you visit Uganda at one time in your lifetime. A few more facts about Uganda is that Uganda is where the world's longest river, the Nile, starts. It gives one an opportunity for the best rafting in the world. And the river comes out of the largest tropical lake, which is called the Lake Victoria, with amazing groups of islands. If you can look on the picture on the bottom bottom right, there is the Lake Victoria, the water body with a couple of islands on it. Then we have the River Nile, which with a picture on the bottom left, which has a bridge across it. It is the longest river. And then you can see a couple of people doing rafting on the river in the top right. And then the beauty of Uganda still on the top left. And on the other hand, Uganda has 53.9% of the world's remaining mountain gorillas. It has 10% of Africa's lakes. And if you add the rivers, no country has as many freshwater bodies as Uganda. Uganda also has the world's best weather. We are always at 28 degrees centigrade throughout the year. And it has the most hospitable people. Now, when it comes to our topic, my topic, the one that I'm going to discuss today, 21st century skills, sustainable development goals, and global citizenship in education, is a topic that I'm passionate about. And being someone passionate about teacher empowerment and capacity building and student mentorship, I have been a global schools advocate where I have learned how best to share knowledge about sustainable development goals in classrooms. So I am sharing I'm going to share about what probably most of us are doing in their classrooms, but which I think makes much more sense for us to keep reminded about how best we can teach a learner who is best fit for the 21st century world. And I thought it important to remind us about what the 21st century skills are. The term 21st century skills refers to a broad set of knowledge, skills, work habits, and character traits that are believed by educators, school reformers, college professors, and employers to be critically important to success in today's world, particularly in collegiate programs and contemporary careers and workplaces. This is the definition that the glossary of education reforms gives us. And when we quickly run it to Wikipedia, the 21st century skills comprise skills, abilities, and learning dispositions that have been identified as being required for success in the 21st century society and workplaces by educators, business leaders, academics, and government agencies. This is part of a growing international movement focusing on the skills required for students to master in preparation for success in a rapidly changing digital society. What does this mean for us as educators? It means that the youngest generation, the school-going generation, is going through our hands. That means we are the people who are preparing tomorrow's workforce. We are the people who are preparing doctors who will treat us tomorrow, who are preparing policymakers who will make policies that will influence our living in our countries, in our governments, in our everything. We are the people preparing tomorrow's teachers and everything. So it is very important for us as educators, as teachers, as school owners, to equip this delicate generation with the skills that will help them, with the skills that will make them make the world a better place for us to live, for the coming generations to live. The 21st century skills are very many, like you can see them in the picture on this slide. We have critical thinking and problem solving. We have effective oral or written communication. We have collaboration across networks. We have the agility and adaptability. We have hope and optimism, curiosity and imaginations. And these are skills that we need to let the learners who are going through our hands acquire. That means that as a student enrolls in a school, by the time they get out of the school, out of the training, out of elementary, out of secondary school, out of university, they should have these skills, because all comprise of, for example, interpersonal skills, people skills, and work readiness skills. So if they don't have these ones, then we are preparing a generation that will not meet what today's world is required. The skills we have looked at have been categorized into three. We have the learning skills, we have the literacy skills, and the life skills. So the learning skills are the critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So once each learner is equipped with these things, they are able to learn quickly, because learning never ends. Learning is a lifelong journey. So our role as educators is to keep in mind that we are shaping a learner, a child, a student who should be able to fit in today's world. And for them to be able to survive in today's world, then they have to be equipped with these skills. And then we have literacy skills. The literacy skills include information, include media, include technology. Today we have an influx of technology, applications, gadgets, and everything. But I think, again, it is our role to educate these learners on how do they interact with this technology. If it is media, this is where we publish information. What do the learners publish out there? I've had an experience where in today's job market, before, for example, you do an interview for someone, people run to check on your media platforms, let's say Facebook, your LinkedIn, and whatever, to see what does this person post on their media. Are they bringing value to our organization or to our company or to our institute? So it is our duty as educators to ensure that the learners we have in the classroom, we equip them with knowledge to understand how important and how well to use these platforms, to use the gadgets they have to prepare themselves for the world next. I live in a school compound, so if you hear some background noise, please you forgive me because the students are passing. Then we have the life skills, and these life skills are the ones that make us or make the learner, going to make the learners be able to maneuver, to run around, to create solutions for the jobs that they are supposed to get, to create solutions for the world challenges that we are meeting, to create solutions for the life that we are in, for the world that we are in, to make it better for us to live. And these 21st century skills are there because we have been challenged with a couple of problems. And they are important. The 21st century skills are important and urgent because of these challenges. So this calls for immediate collaborative action across the globe. The private and public institutions, the schools and universities, organizations, governments and individuals are responsible for tackling these problems that they affect us as a world, as a globe. And we can only do our best as educators to equip our learners in the classroom with knowledge that can help them innovate solutions for these challenges at hand. For example, there's climate change. You can see how climate change has really affected us to an extent that it has changed seasons. For example, here in Africa, like in Uganda, where we grow a lot of food, we have a very good climate. Climate change has been the reason why food production has gone very low. Climate change has been the reason why we have too much rainfalls and stuff. So the best we can equip with today's generation that we are educating in our classrooms, that we interact with every day, is the knowledge, the humility of how to tackle these challenges. It will bring us back to how we educate them, how we help them envision and review what the world looks like. Probably you might not have an example, a real example of how climate change has affected the world, has affected the globe, but probably you have a teacher in Africa, a teacher in Asia, a teacher in Europe who might display a live example for your learners in the classroom. So that's why, as I am proud to be, for example, part of this system, part of this network, that if I had a class I want to do and there is an example that is probably in India, an example that is in Taiwan, an example that is in Mexico, I can come to this platform and connect with someone to help my students see, my students in South Sudan, where I am working currently, see that climate change is a problem that is also outside Africa. And therefore, we need to bring together efforts. We need to combine efforts to fight this challenge. Probably the activities that the students are doing here, they are involved in Africa, are contributing to climate change across the globe. For example, in the picture below diversity, you see a lot of bush burning. There is a lot of deforestation. Here where I'm stationed in South Sudan, I have observed that there is a lot of deforestation because there is no clean energy. The only source of energy is charcoal for cooking. And we don't have, for example, hydroelectricity power. We only depend on solar and generators, and which is also very expensive. So if you look at the penetration of energy, of light and stuff in South Sudan, it is maybe about 10% of the population have, even less, have access to electricity, have access to light in their houses. But how are we educating, how are we equipping the learners in our classrooms to prepare themselves for this, to solve the challenges of energy? When you look at a challenge like extreme poverty, and you look at that student in that picture, that is his home, and he's probably coming from school. I would want to imagine that the school where he is coming from is doing their best. The teacher who is teaching them is doing their best to educate them, to equip them with the skills that will help him think and innovate solutions for that community where he comes from. Solutions, things to do with smart cities, things to do with construction, things to do with the affordable housing and stuff. So that when this child has grown and they have probably had a chance to maneuver through education, they can come back and design an affordable housing program, an affordable housing system for their community, and this will help us to end this problem. We are looking at income inequality. This is a big challenge, but the way we teach our learners will help them to realize on how best to innovate, how best to equip themselves to compete for the job market. I can, for example, talk about income inequality depending on the jobs available on the market and how we teach our children. And I will give an example of Africa. In Africa, teaching has been more theoretical than practical. The project-based learning we are talking about, the 21st century skills, are not really paid attention to in the classroom. And recently, I was applying for a job, and I realized I did not really have the required skills for the jobs that are on the market. We talk about technology on how to use internet, how to use Gmail, how to use these platforms like Zoom and everything. But I realized I didn't have the skills just because I learned about computer. I learned about using an email when I reached university. And now the world has changed. So as teachers, for example, if we have teachers who are in Africa, we should be in a position to connect with teachers outside Africa to work on projects. And in this process, we are developing skills for these learners to be able to learn how to log into Zoom, to learn how to write an email and exchange an email with students in Europe or students in Asia. And I think today's world has positioned us at a platform where we can do these exchanges using platforms like these ones. I would wish us, for example, as we go through these webinars, through this series of education, through Eco Training Center, I would like us to create partnerships where we can reach a level of sharing classrooms and help our learners to tour the world by not even having to fly out of the country. I can, for example, do a presentation here in South Sudan to students in Taiwan with Ronnie's class, for example. And this is exposure. Travel is exposure, and there is a lot to learn. And that brings me to sustainable development goals. After looking at the challenges we have been faced, it brings me to sustainable development goals. The sustainable development goals are a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. The goals address the global challenges we face, including these ones that I've just mentioned: poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. And by us educators taking action in the classroom, looking at our classrooms and looking at these sustainable development goals and tailoring, aligning our lesson plans with actions that can foster improvement, actions that can be relevant to sustainable development goals, I believe we shall be laying a brick to developing the world, to making the world a better place, to preparing a sustainable future for every learner, for everyone, for each one of us today, to be able to produce a generation that can innovate solutions that can solve the problems we are looking at today. So I will take an example of climate change, and it may be environmental degradation and deforestation. For example, as a teacher, if you're teaching maybe, let's say, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, in Uganda, for example, our curriculum, we talk about our community, our environment. As you're teaching learners about the community, about our community, about our environment, it is very easy and it is very good to relate it to where we are living, looking at the activities that take place in our environment. For example, learners should be able to identify that there is deforestation because at home, in Africa, for example, they cook using charcoal, and that charcoal is got after cutting down trees. So one of the lessons that you can give to the learners in that classroom, for example, if it is me from Africa, is that when you go back home, share with your parents that the moment they cut down a tree to burn charcoal, to cook at home, let them maybe plant 10. If you cut down one tree, plant 10. There, as a teacher, you are changing the mindset of this learner to start caring about the environment, because if they cut down all the trees and they are finished, then they will not have charcoal tomorrow, leave alone burning charcoal. Instead, you can also help them and tell them that instead of cutting down trees, let us think which other sources of energy we can get to cook at home. Show them there is, for example, in South Sudan, we have the sun almost throughout the year. We have only about 3 months of rain in the year. So ask the learners, how can we harness the sun that we have to produce energy to use to cook instead of us cutting down the trees that are giving us fresh air, that are giving us oxygen. So these are small things that we can work on as educators to ensure that to build that mindset in our learners that will help them to start thinking how they can innovate solutions for these challenges that have faced the globe, that we need to work on to make the world a better place for us to live. Now, from the Sustainable Development Goals, I want us to focus on global citizenship. In our classes, in our institutions, in our homes, everywhere, it is important to focus on what global citizenship means for us. And global citizenship education aims to empower learners of all ages to assume active roles, both locally and globally, in building more peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, and secure societies. I will give an example of, I'll keep referring to the place where I'm working in here in South Sudan. I am naturally short. And the region, the Jonglei state where I am working in is a state of very tall people. But being tall and being short is not a disability. So as teachers, I have realized that the education system, of course, has been disrupted with the civil wars that have been here for quite a long time. But it is important for us for the teachers here, for example, and something that we are trying to work on, to educate learners, to educate the people here that, for example, someone being short is not a disability. Being short is being tall is not a disability, or it is not an advantage over someone who is tall. And these are things we can do in our classrooms by connecting, by collaborating with different cultures, different people from different regions of the world, to help these learners learn that life does not end here in South Sudan where I am. We need to help the learners understand that life does not end in Taiwan. Life does not end in China. Life does not end in Uganda. Life does not end in one point. But at the moment, we are a global world. We are a global village. We should be able to inculcate, to have skills, to have behaviors, to have interpersonal skills that can help us to live outside our homes, outside our countries. Because right now, as I speak, for example, most of the African students, we apply for scholarships to go in Europe, to go in Asia, to go in America, to do further studies in better universities. But at the same time, you find that we have students from those universities coming here in Africa to do research. So we need to build a mindset of a young generation that is accommodative, that is open-minded, to know that we have people in Africa, we have people in Asia, we have people in Europe, we have people in America. And for us to make this world a better world, we need to mingle, we need to interact, we need to look at ourselves as one person. Because when you're coming from America and coming to Africa, you're coming to conduct research probably about your thesis in school. You need to interact with these people to get the information you want. For example, if I'm coming from here and coming to Europe, I'm coming to Asia, I need to know that irrespective of me hailing from Africa, I need to learn from the people I am finding in Europe. There is something probably they know that I don't know. That's why as teachers in our classrooms, we have to give chance to the learners to speak out their mind, to share what they know about what we are trying to teach them. Even before introduce a topic, get to understand, what do the learners know about what I'm going to teach them, about what I'm going to introduce to them? And once you inculcate this culture where you accept your learners as people who already know something about what you're going to teach them, then you are able to be at the facilitator's role. You are able to be at the driving seat to help them explore, to help them make the possible research, to get solutions, to get ideas, to contribute to what the world can look like if it is a better world. When you look down at what global citizenship education is, we tell us that it is based on 3 dimensions of learning. And the 3 dimensions of learning, the cognitive, the social, emotional, and the behavior. When you look at the cognitive, it's the knowledge, understanding, and critical thinking about global issues and the interconnections, interdependency of countries and different populations. So we need to give learners the knowledge to know that the world is connected, the world is interdependent, and therefore there is need for us to be able to interact at the global level, to interact whether you're from Africa, whether you're from Asia, whether you're from Europe, whether you're from America. You should be at a position to know that you can go in any continent, you can go to any continent and be able to interact freely if you have really been equipped with these skills, the 21st century skills we are talking about. Then we have the social emotional being part of it. We as teachers are interacting with a generation of students, of learners who have been socially, emotionally affected in different ways, depending on the backgrounds where we come from and stuff. For example, my country where I am working right now, I am dealing with a generation of students, a generation of teachers who are recovering from trauma, from the torture of civil wars that have existed in this country for the last 21 years. So when they come out indisciplined, when they come out with frustrating communication and stuff, as a teacher, I have to understand their background. I have to understand where they're coming from and help them, sit them down and tell them, look here, it is important for us to start realizing, to start being aware of ourselves, to start being aware of our emotions, to start being aware of how we interact with people, irrespective of the bad journey we have gone through, irrespective of the torture, of the suffering that we have gone through. There is still hope for a better future. And that better future can only be shaped by us, by you. You are the people, you are the leaders of tomorrow. You are in school, you are going to be the policymakers of tomorrow. You are the people who should now think of shaping a better education system, shaping better policies that will probably end the civil wars in your country. So by engaging with them in social emotional activities, social emotional learning, you help to calm down their anxiety, you help them to start focusing on their emotions, you help them to start thinking on how their life purpose, why are they even in school, why are they coming to school, why are they even studying. Once you get help to get their emotions, their minds down together and help them to start imagining, then you're achieving a lot in the classrooms because they will come to class with purpose, with wanting, with questions on how best they can contribute to making their country a better place. And in that regard, then you're shaping their behaviors, you're shaping their thinking, you're shaping their life. That's what I believe is the role of the teacher. And the best way we can do it is by collaborating, by sharing experiences, by connecting the students across the globe, by utilizing the technology that is on board to ensure that we bring the examples, whatever we talk in the classrooms, live to the learners. And I want to retaliate or to repeat the role of teachers, schools, and educators in this case. Schools and educators play a vital role in combating these critical challenges, as I have just been speaking in a few before. And preparing students to tackle these centuries' problems is our role. So education frameworks such as the Sustainable Development Goals, Global Citizenship Education, and Education for Sustainable Development have been proven beyond reasonable doubt that they can increase students' academic and soft skills, promote empathy for others, and also inspire sustainable behaviors. So we take it upon ourselves as educators, as teachers, and people who, like I said, are handling the youngest generation of this world, the generation that is supposed to shape, that is supposed to come up with better ideas for us, for changing the world and making it a better place. We have the bodies in our hands. There is no one who will come to do it. So we have to do the best. We have to do our best to ensure that we support and best equip the generation we are working with. And probably you are wondering, how can this be done? I very well know that as a teacher, as an educator, we have tried to do all these in our classrooms. So as teachers, we can achieve this by blending our lesson plans with activities, actions, and using approaches that promote the 21st century skills, sustainable development goals, and also ensuring that we provide global citizenship education. How this can be done: one, these pictures that I have here summarize it. They talk about how we can participate, let the children participate in activities to do with agriculture, with keeping the environment clean. You can advocate by taking your students to a garden and show them how these plants grow, how they come out of the soil and how they contribute to the well-being of the environment, the oxygen and everything. You can host an event for your students to teach them about what is happening in other countries. You can let them participate in preparing that event and stuff. You can do this by design change, by teaching from the design change theory to really equip the learners with the practical skills. You can do it by publishing stories of your children that they are talking about what they have learned. We can use the media to publish these stories. Writing stories, storytelling is one of the ways that we can bring the world, the outside world, to our classroom. When we can adapt lifestyles that persuade the community, that persuade our students to act, to do actions, to do activities that are in relationship with the sustainable development goals, to ensure that we keep laying a brick to making the world a better place. We can do it by building relationships. How do we build relationships? There is the relationships picture there that you see the teacher hugging the students, creating empathy, making the learners feel that making the environment as comfortable, as safe as possible for the learners, to help them build their mind, their knowledge, and feel that, yes, we have a facilitator, we have a teacher who loves us, we have a teacher who wants us to be brilliant, to innovate things for the future. Then we can do by expressing ourselves in art, doing art, picture. You can ask your students to draw pictures that to imagine how a better world would look like. They can draw pictures, they can imagine the better world they want to live in. And by doing that, and for example, displaying in your classrooms, you are holding them accountable. Every learner will be looking at the picture they drew of the world they want to live in and they work towards achieving that. Then we can run workshops with our peers, with our teachers, support them in their classrooms on different approaches to teach these things. We can teach there is teaching order, there is technology, there is social enterprise. All these are approaches that we can use as educators to ensure that we are acting on sustainable development goals and equipping our learners with skills that can help them to live a better life. Then there are quite a number of teaching approaches. We have the learner-centered approaches. There are so many, but I just wanted to focus on these two. One, we have blended learning, and blended learning, we are looking at how we design our lessons to include games, playful learning, to include technology and stuff, to ensure that when we talk about games and technology, with technology, we can teach our learners about the entire world without letting them move out of the classroom. When you look at project-based learning, for example, project-based learning is an approach that introduces, for example, helps the learners to be able to identify a problem, then analyze the problem, then do research about it, do field studies about it, then identify different resources that can be used to tackle this problem and maybe find a solution. Then once they are able to come up with a solution, then they can test the solution and finally present it outside the classroom. So these are some of the approaches we can use in the classroom to teach our learners, to build their knowledge, to build their capacity, because this is exactly what they apply when they go back in the field, in the organizations where they'll be working. They need to design solutions. Wherever they will be employed, they would need to learn how to design. And once they are equipped with these skills from a tender age in the classroom, then we are achieving our goal as educators. There are so many organizations that we can work with that are already acting about these goals. So there are organizations that are designing. There are many organizations that, for example, already have designs of lesson plans and project-based learning. Others are doing teacher empowerment. Others are doing sensitization and everything. So for example, here we have Teachers Empowerment Platform, which is an organization I founded, and we believe that empowering teachers is the most effective way to empower students. So if we have, for example, administrators here, school owners, head teachers, principals, and everything, the best way we can have positive classroom outcomes for our learners is by ensuring that we have equipped our teachers in the best way possible, because what they are equipped with, they take it down to the classroom. We have organizations like the Global Schools Program, which I've been an advocate for. They are typically doing their best to ensure that we have sustainable development goals taught in the classroom. You can check them out and see what approaches are there for us to use. We have organizations like 1 Million Teachers. It has an online program of empowering teachers with so many courses to improve their teaching practices. We have organizations like Inspire Citizens, who believe that the future of the world is in our classrooms. So once we have classroom facilitators who are equipped with these skills, then we have a better world for us. In that regard, as I come to a conclusion, at Teachers Empowerment Platform, we are trying to establish a movement of teachers collaborating on classroom projects across the globe. And if you like to join this movement, so for us to keep collaborating and stuff, this is the link, and I will share it in the chat right after the presentation. And I would like to clone my presentation with this picture that has been designed by Inspire Citizens, an organization I just talked about. When you look at this slide, it has a picture that has the heart, the head, and the hands. So when I looked at this, I remembered what my dad used to tell me when I was growing up. I was raised by two parents who were teachers, my dad and my mother teachers. But every day we were going to school, I used to hear my dad say, as a teacher, you need to be able to teach the heart, the head, and the hands. Then I did not really conceptualize what he was trying to do. But when we talk about the heart, we are talking about empathy. We are talking about teaching its students who has feelings, who will use contemporary knowledge, who will use thoughtful approaches to the world. When we talk about the head, we are looking at the mind. What is the mind? How do we develop this learner's mind to be an open mind? How do we develop our learners to be open-minded about what the world has to offer for us, about learning, about thinking innovative, thinking positive, not thinking negative. Then we look at the hands. How do we educate our learners to be tactile, to be able to use their hands to do things, to design? So this picture summarizes what type of student we should graduate from our class, from our grade. As we send them out there in the world, we should have equipped them with skills that will help them to use their heart, their head, their hands very well, positively, in a way that they can create and impact the world. And with empathy, we can do a lot of impact. Let us have empathy in our classrooms. Let us have empathy in every activity that we do with our learners, so that we equip them with the best skills, the 21st century skills that they would wish, that we would wish them to have in order to survive in this 21st century world that has challenges that we need to tackle as a force, as a combined effort. Otherwise, that makes the end of my presentation, and I am happy to receive any questions. I am happy to receive submissions. I'm happy to hear how best we can collaborate as a movement, as a network, to ensure that we achieve positive outcomes for our classrooms, for our learners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bizoza. from Uganda for this wonderful and fruitful presentation. Any questions? Hello, Dr. Kamal. We have here Dr. Kamal with us. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay, thanks to Allah. Any questions? Okay. Thank you for you all for your cooperation and support.
Francis, can you hear me?
Thank you.
Francis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I have shared the link in the chat for anyone who wants to join
Francis,
us and to request.
Yes, Francis, it seems that there is many questions. I just to thank you first about your contribution. In fact, you are high enthusiasm and high knowledge about your specialty and about the presentation you are talking about. In fact, I have 3 points after thanking you related. You talked about the 3 things, related things connected with each other, but I want to know how can I link between the 3 things, the skills you are talked about and the SDG and the citizenship. There is 3 points. They are unrelated, but I have to know. This is for my benefit and for the others' benefit. How can I link between these 3 things? For example, as a teacher, I want to teach my students about SDGs. How can I get benefits from 21st century skills and the citizenship skills?
Okay, so I think I'm trying to understand your question. You're asking, as a teacher, how can you in your classroom ensure that you're teaching children the 21st century skills, global education, citizenship, and the sustainable development goals, right?
Yes, how to get benefits from the skills I'm going to teach them for the SDGs.
Now, the 17 SDGs have been designed to solve the global challenges that we have. And now, for us to be able to solve these global challenges as a combined effort, as an entire world, one, we have to teach our children, to equip them with the 21st century skills. And the 21st century skills include skills that help the learners to live in today's world. Allow me to go back to that slide.
Am I lost the connection or he?
I am coming to,
yes.
So I wanted to bring you to the 21st century skills. So when you look at these 21st century skills, we have skills like critical thinking and problem solving. We have skills like effective oral written communication and staff. We have collaboration across networks. And like I said, they have been categorized into 3. We have the learning skills, we have the literacy skills, and we have the life skills. Now, the learning skills, which include critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, these are skills that we help our learners to have to be able to survive, to be able to learn new things. For example, critical thinking. How do you develop critical thinking in a learner in the classroom? Developing critical thinking is, for example, using approaches like project-based learning, and an approach where you present a challenge to the learners, where you present a problem to the learners, and then they have to look out for a solution to solve that problem. For example, if you want to teach about Tell me what class you teach, then I give you an example depending on the class you teach. Okay.
Climate change. Climate change. Give me an example about the climate change. How to invest the learning skills related to the climate change for, okay?
So, for example, you want to teach about climate change, but as a teacher, you know that some of the problems that are causing climate change is poor disposal of plastics and everything. And you know that your learners use plastic bottles. They take water and they use plastic bottles, they use polythene bags and everything. So you bring to them how the plastic has caused climate change, how it is a problem. And you ask them, the question would be, how do you think we can solve this problem of climate change, which is being caused by using plastic bottles and poorly disposing them? So what you want to achieve at the end of the class as a teacher is, for example, your learners to come out with saying, no, the plastic is causing climate change because of poor disposal of these plastic materials. So as learners, we think by properly disposing of the plastic that we use every day is one of the ways we can solve climate change. Now you work out with them to design how best can the plastic be disposed. You start with the classroom. One, having a dustbin in the classroom. So these are ideas that students should bring about. Now, by posing a question to them to establish how they can do it, you are helping them to critically think. They look at the plastic, they look at where they deposit it, and they also think, hey, but I think if we deposited it in a dustbin in the classroom, and later it is collected together, and then the garbage collectors who dispose it properly come for it, is a better way. That is one, you have achieved critical thinking, you have achieved creativity, because they are creatively thinking that we can have a dustbin in our classroom, and we dispose there the things, and then we collect. The entire school has dustbins in their class, and then the people who are responsible for collecting garbage will come for them. One, you have achieved critical thinking, you have achieved creativity and collaboration, because you have asked them to work in a group to come out with these solutions on how to dispose plastic properly. You have achieved collaboration, and in the group they are talking. You are achieving communication skills. They are learning how to communicate together. Okay, you might want to go ahead and tell them, oh, we should publish this project we have done. As a class, we have come up with a solution of properly disposing plastic in our classroom. So you might want to go ahead and ask them to write about it, and then they publish it. So now, if you have technology in your school, use the technology. If you have computers, if you have tablets, you give to the learners to write their stories. If they have written them on paper, they can type it. And then you use the technology to type it and then put it on media. That is already they are sharing the stories. So in that process, they are learning, they are acquiring these skills, which they apply in the future. You can further go ahead to have, because in the process you have, in the group that you have used to do this project, you have leaders, you will probably have a group leader, you will have someone to write it down, to take notes, you will have people to bring different skills. Already you are building leadership skills and stuff. Now, when we come here, like when we come to the Sustainable Development Goals, you are now acting on goal number what? Which goal is that? About climate change. That is goal. We are acting on goal 17, on goal 14, because when the plastic is misused, it can also go to the ocean. You are acting on goal 15. So already by doing that simple activity, you are acting on sustainable development goals. And when you are doing it, you can also reflect in your class to the learners that by us properly disposing or designing a way of disposing plastic properly, we are joining the movement, the global movement of people who are acting, who are contributing to the sustainable development goals. In that process, let me briefly help you understand how we can also talk about global citizenship. You tell them that when we poorly dispose plastic, we contribute to climate change, which globally affects the people who are living across the world. And by doing this, we are also helping communities, people who are living outside our classroom, by ensuring that we dispose our plastic properly, which is global citizenship, because having that empathy to think that if I dispose my plastic bottle properly, I am supporting, I am contributing to a good life of someone who is in Africa, who is in Asia, who is outside my locality. That is the global citizenship we are talking about. I hope I have answered the question.
It's a great, Francis. I appreciate your answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for you all. Thank you, Francis. Thank you. Ronnie, Corina, Dr. Kamal, Winnie, how are you? Dr. Mina Al-Kali.
I think Ronnie has
Dr.
a note or question.
Any other question?
I think Ronnie raised his hand.
Yeah, well done. I'm just watching behind. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
hello.
We can hear you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, just greeting. My brother did a wonderful justice to the topic. It's great. It's great. Sahid, I'm very happy for you. Kamal, you are very wonderful. Thank you very much. I come up when my own day come, then we discuss more. Thank you very much.
We're waiting for you.
Okay, but I don't know. I'm supposed to be the 14th, but I don't know the day that you push me now.
No, I am waiting for you.
Okay, no day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Corina. Thank you.
My humble request is that I would like to get like email addresses of each one of you in case you like in case you want to have a copy of the presentation, and for us to keep in this movement and to keep sharing some of the activities we are doing. So I put the form in the the form in the chat. You can fill in, and once I have that information, then I will send you the email with the presentation and a few other activities that we'll be working on at Teachers Empowerment Platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bizoza. Thank you. So proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect.
So if
yes, Ronnie?
Yeah, I think it was great, the Francis was talking about. Maybe we can ask an educators what I think that's also Kamal wanted to mention too. Maybe he's talking. I think we can start sharing our project, because sometimes when we talk about SDG goals, we just make it into like a theoretical way. So we feel all the educators, we can come up, okay, I'm working on SDG 1, there's a project. So any student around the world, if they can join, I think maybe we can start to have that initiative. So the students around the world, they can work on those projects. So if someone is working on SDG goal number 1 or goal number 2, and we can say this is our project, there's a platform where the students can come, or maybe Wacklet or Padlet, where their kids can come up with an opinion so others can add on. And they will start to think about the real life problems, because they can communicate each other and then try to solve it. So maybe the students, like what Francis said, students from Taiwan can come up with some solutions to students in Uganda, or the students in Uganda can also come up with a solution or action plan, and they can share it. So as educators as a whole, we can share those goals. Like teacher Winnie is doing about all the different Black bears around the world. So there is a connection of that one. You can connect to the students around the world in a one single platform. So maybe we can start to have a kind of platform where teachers they can share, or they can say this is the project we are doing. so everyone knows it, and if they want, they can join to the one and share it. Because if you share, then we will learn more than just a theoretical approach of teaching students in a classroom or SDG goals. And I do really like what Francis said. It's about sharing and caring, and that empathy is more important. And world mindedness, international mindedness is a big thing. Hopefully, we can learn from each other. And again, Francis, thanks a lot for your great presentation. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure for me to be part of this presentation, because there's been a lot for me to learn from Eco Training Center ever since I joined. So I think the Eco Training Center is an opportunity that we can utilize. I was seeing on the platform, for example, there are opportunities for people to organize for us, like tours and stuff at some time, those who can afford, or when the COVID has relaxed. We can always do these exchanges both online and even probably think to do them physically to learn, because I've come to learn that travel is exposure.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Winnie from Taiwan, also a teacher with Ronnie. He is in the central, I'm in the north. Okay, so I'm very impressed for today's presentation, because this is the first time I've been, virtually like a meeting teacher from Africa, especially Uganda. So thank you for bringing the wonderful. And also, I think after your presentation, I would like to take some points that you mentioned about the future of the world is in the classroom, and teaching head, heart, head, and hand. I think definitely, and it highlights the importance of an educator and teacher. So I just wonder that in your country or in your community, I mean, the SDG, this kind of a curriculum, how is it supported by your government or by your school? For example, I mean, do you get any fund? Because I think maybe in my country, for example, maybe not many teachers are into this kind of, global citizenship. So maybe we need to educate, many workshop funding for teacher, training teacher. So how about this kind of curriculum is supported by your government or in your community or in your school?
So apparently the program, the Sustainable Development Goals, are something that, for example, in the education system and the education institutions, have not really received that great support in my country, and I believe in a couple of other African countries, because like I am born in Uganda and I'm currently working in South Sudan, but in these two countries, there has not really been much. So it is just starting that the country is opening up. Much of the work is in other sectors, in gender and everything, but it has not really come to the classroom. So what the work I'm talking about, what I'm doing is out of passion. Because I started running Teachers Empowerment Platform as a passion project, though I haven't, like, for example, received any funding for it, because it is a passion project, I put in my own money, because I feel a teacher needs to be empowered. When I was joining university, I did not want to be a teacher, but it is my professor who taught me the first year at university that made me love becoming a teacher, because she used the 21st century methods of teaching online, the things I've just been talking about. I had never used technology. I had never had an email address. I had never made a presentation before. I had never, used the computer. So this professor challenged me, and I felt, oh, I think if I want to be a teacher, I should be a teacher like this professor of mine, because I had previously wanted to be a journalist. And then when we were doing this education, she asked us to use the computer to do PowerPoint presentations, to go on the streets and interview different stakeholders about why some policies in education have not been implemented. So because I wanted to be a journalist, I saw myself doing the journalism in the classroom. So I was like, no, if I want to be a teacher, I should be a teacher like this professor. So the work I'm doing is out of passion. I know the governments are trying to do this, but probably with the bureaucracy in the government systems and stuff, it takes ages to reach where it is supposed to reach. So the work I'm doing is out of passion. And in fact, if we can come out as a movement, as a network that is advocating for sustainable development goals, and we attract some funding, then we might have a chance to pilot some of these projects we are doing with our learners in different countries. And I feel there we are building a brick, we are making the world what should be, because we shall be contributing to educating learners who are going to make the world a better place that we want to be. So I think small things begin like this. You never know, tomorrow we can be a great movement that is advocating, a great movement of educators, of teachers, that is advocating for sustainable development goals in the classroom.
Yeah, that is so true. So that's why, I mean, I totally agree with you. The future of the world is in classroom, and the one holding the key is educator.
Yes.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I think definitely you offered a platform. Yeah, so hope that we could be united together, sharing together. Thank you so much for introducing this movement in your country and your beautiful country.
Okay, so I hope you entered your email in the form so that we can start exchanging text and emails and stuff, so that we begin on this movement. The time is now, I believe.
Francis, you have to take them before closing the webinar.
I have to. There is a form you can click on. There is a form you can click on, and then you enter your details, your country, where you come from.
You can share. Just share it again, please.
I have put it in the chat room. Check.
In the beginning, not now.
Down at the bottom. It's a Google form, so you just
so Francis, what does the TEP mean? I mean, you're called TEP Connect.
TEP is Teachers Empowerment Platform Connect. That is an organization.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Great.
So like I'm supposed to be having a class with China, with Beijing International School. One of their teachers invited me to come and speak to the students because they interested in the projects across Africa. So I'll be speaking to them. And I think these are the collaborations we need. You might have students who want to do a project about climate change, about energy, about how they can support communities, but probably they have never seen these things happening. And you have someone in Africa who can tell you how things are happening. So that's why I feel it is important for us to have this kind of network.
Okay. Thank you. Ronnie?
So I guess if everyone has seen the form and they have been able to fill it in, I see I have 5.
Seems like we're having a network problem now. Yeah.
Sorry, I had been disconnected.
Okay.
So I can see some people have filled in the form. I have about 5 responses, and I think the rest can do it at their time once they have copied the form.
Yeah.
Then we can end the call and let team members go to enjoy their weekend.
So right now in Uganda, what time is it?
So it is right now in East Africa, it is 6 p.m.
6 p.m. So I can see the sunlight, still bright.
Yes, yes. And where I am, it is too hot. So, and because the technology has not yet really penetrated, there is no air conditioning, there is no power to run the fans. That's why I'm sweating. This is in South Sudan.
So hopefully you guys can, fill up the form. And again, thanks a lot for Francis. And hopefully we can wrap it up this session. And it's a great experience. And appreciate a lot all of your time spending here. And please, as he mentioned, let's care and share. And networking is more important. So please try to log in and fill up the form as much as we can. And please share with other teachers too, so they can also be part of this networking system. And again, thanks for ETC and every other members to joining this great session, and appreciate it a lot, and have a great weekend. And hopefully we see you soon with a great and interesting topic. So take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, others.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
the
Thank you.
participants.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you. Bye.